everybody, this is Andre and welcome again to another Forever First Year video. What is the difference between a public school, a charter school, and a private school? Over the past decade since the Great Recession, parents have been researching and looking into alternative schools since the public schools were getting their budgets cut year after year. There are three major kinds of schools: public schools, charter schools, and private schools. Each of them has their own pros and cons, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what each school entails and why that may be an option for your child. This is not a personal opinion. This is not going to be a biased opinion. This is just going to be factual opinion on what each school represents and how they can best serve a family. The first type of school is a public school. Most people that you may have known went to or did go to a public school. Districts and schools are zoned by geographical areas, and people who live within those boundaries of those areas are subject to go to those schools. Public schools are expected to follow state standards and are given tests by the state on those standards to measure their performance each year. Public schools get their money from the state education budget, which is supplied by taxpayers. There is no tuition. However, some schools may not receive enough funding for their arts programs, music programs, theater programs, clubs, or other sports, and may have to rely on extra fundraising, charitable donations, or sadly, participation fees. Special needs services are also supplied by the school, and there's even some options for parents and students to qualify for free or reduced lunch for their families. Teachers must be highly qualified by the state to teach whatever grade or subject that they are teaching. This involves passing multiple state licensing exams, as well as receiving a bachelor's degree in that field, or in teaching. Many teachers, however, like myself, have a master's degree, and some even have doctorates. In recent years, performance grades and percentages have been given to schools. You can check those grades and those percentages by visiting the Arizona department or the state department that you're in to get more information on those schools' performances. Next, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, are private schools. It's tough to talk about these because there are so many and each of them are very different. This is where you would find your boarding schools, Catholic or other religious schools, and more. These schools charge tuition for students to attend. Tuition rates vary from school to school, but since this is the main source of income for schools instead of public funding, they have a lot more flexibility in how and what they teach. This flexibility can allow a school to offer unique programs and experiences with less red tape, since most private schools are self-governed. Private schools are an alternative and not mandatory, meaning that the schools may have an application process and not all students may be accepted or allowed to continue if the school requirements aren't met. Their teachers also do not have to have a special degree or certification, leaving that choice simply up to the school itself. Many people have the misconception and think that private schools always pay more, which isn't always the case, as some private schools pay the same, if not less, than their neighboring public schools. It's really hard to make that generalization as well, as many private schools don't always share what they pay their teachers unless you're in the act of applying. While public school information is easier to find online, private school information, it can sometimes be more difficult to find. Therefore, if you're interested in going to a private school, I would recommend scheduling a tour of the campus and meeting with the owner or whoever's in charge of the school to find out more information. Last but not least, we have charter schools. It's first important to note that not every state allows charter schools to exist, so check with your state before you look more into it. Charter schools are in the middle of a public school and a private school. Like public schools, there is no tuition, as money for the schools are received by the state just like a public school. However, charter schools can be founded by any person or group of people, such as teachers or businesses, but there is a lot of paperwork that must be filed with the state before they can open one. Similar to private schools, charter schools have flexibility in how they hire their teachers and how they can structure their classrooms and learning environment. However, charter schools are often subject to the same state standards and same state tests as public schools. Charter schools tend to be smaller than their neighboring public schools as well. While this is true, charter schools are often critiqued for taking money from public schools. However, they are also promoted for their ability to offer competitive options for students, therefore driving the benefit of education, although it's debatable and time will tell. The idea for charter schools originated as a way to offer kids more unique school options, especially in lower performing public school areas. If you are interested in going to a charter school, similar to private and public, there's some information you can find online, but I would recommend scheduling a meeting with the owner and people in charge of the charter school to see if it's right for your child. Hopefully that was helpful in understanding just generally how public schools, private schools, and charter schools work. As a public school teacher myself, I get a lot of parents and friends that are recently parents whose kids are just starting school, or maybe they moved from one community to another, who ask me, hey, what do you think about this school, or what do you think about this or that, or how do I do my research on a school? And I feel that honestly the best advice is to, when you look at a school, look to see with research if that school is right for your child. Because at the end of the day, don't fall into all the traps of how all public schools are bad or all private schools are bad. Do your research and see what's right for you. Thank you for watching another Forever First Year video, and I hope that this video was informative. If you went to maybe an alternative school besides a public school, like a charter school or private school, leave a message down below and maybe you can share your experience with it. Did you like it? Did you learn from it? If you're a public school person, how did that help you? And maybe what did you like? What did you not like? Thank you again, and hope to see you on my next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.